Hey parents, if your babies are struggling with colic, constipation, reflux, truly nothing can help you fast enough. I've been there as a parent. It's like, what can we do just to get a little bit more sleep, to get a little bit more relaxation in baby, to help them be a little more comfortable? But oftentimes, even if we get that quick change, that doesn't help the long-term issues with it. And so parents are constantly seeking answers to find out what is the cause. Now, being a pediatric chiropractor, we take hundreds of just patient histories and listen to stories. And one thing that we found is tying back challenges with babies, toddlers, and even younger elementary school kiddos can be tied all the way back to the birth process. The birth process, and then traumatic births and stress during delivery. And so I want to talk a little bit about that today and then give you 3 things to look for where if you're not finding the answers to them, to these challenges, then possibly it could be birth stress that is the cause of it, and we can help to really get them on a better track with less struggle. So first off, when we look at what babies, toddlers, grade school kids go through, right? It starts with really one thing when they're super young. And I want to share my screen for this for you guys because it starts with motor and movement development. The first thing babies do, we don't think of them as moving so much, but the first thing they're actually doing is picking their head up. They're latching to nurse. They're moving their heads side to side to be able to take a bottle, to nurse, to just move that little bit. And so any type of motor stress is oftentimes the catalyst for us to look back and say, you know what, maybe there's something going on with that motor or movement system. Now, I wanted to share this research with you because this is really what we lean on to really put together the science between what happens if birth trauma is a stressor on our kiddos. Now, this study looked at motor and movement in newborn babies 3 to about 6 months years old, and they found that other health challenges came after movement struggles at birth. And they found that actually 97% of all kids that were born had some type of movement or motor movement struggle, meaning they had trouble turning to one side, they had trouble kind of bending, maybe they had a little bit of a torticollis, they weren't able to put their head up as easy or nurse as comfortably. And what that led to is higher incidences of health challenges down the road. So first thing to look at is if your baby is just, hey, they don't like to look to the right, or they might not like to sleep to the left, that's something to look for to say, hey, let's look at that because that can lead to even more challenges. What it actually leads to is my number 2, secondarily, that birth stress or trauma, when it impacts this motor system, actually starts to affect the gut and digestive health. Babies are supposed to eat, sleep, and poop with absolute ease. Sounds pretty simple life, right? But if not, it is far from simple for that baby. If they're not nursing well and getting food well, if they're not digesting that well and getting that out, and then they're not sleeping, oftentimes then it leads to even more. So the motor system and that development can lead to their system not being as comfortable in that side. And we can also tie that back to birth trauma, birth stress, struggle with delivery. Now, when we put all of this together, if babies aren't sleeping real well, they're not eating real well, they're not pooping real well, they're not moving real well, oftentimes that's when, you've maybe got a diagnosis of a colic, or, they are just super upset and they're having failure to thrive. And that gets pretty intense. But all honesty, you can track it back to the birth process because these systems aren't developing as easy and efficiently as possible. You can see how it goes forward. After gut health, we get into immune activation, speech development, social learning, behavior, all these things in the developmental pathway. But when you tie that back to stress, it often happens where motor and movement development struggle first that leads to so many other challenges. Because the nature of stress is so physical, right? If you had a vacuum extraction, if you had emergency C-section, if they had to use forceps, all these things put a big amount of physical stress on a little itty bitty baby. And that physical stress can lead into more. So if you are struggling with any of the challenges we talked about, and you're just not finding an answer with what you're, the path you've gone down, let us explore that. Let us hear that story. Let us talk about that physical stress and birth trauma, because that might be the answer to get to the bottom of your babies, toddlers, elementary school kids' health challenge, and really help them get out of the storm and help them be more efficient, more at ease, and more conquering their health challenges. Hope this finds you well. Love you guys. Bye.